I know exactly what I have to do. I'm going to sell out.
All right, let's get this party started.
When I die and they lay me to rest, I'm gonna go to the place that's the sweetest bed. Oh, when I lay me down to die, I'm going up to the Twinkie in the, going on up to the Twinkie in the sky. That's where I'm gonna go when I die. I die. I'm gonna bite the snack that I love best. Prepare yourself, you know it's a must. Gotta have a Twinkie if you wanna trust. Just saying, Lordy, I'm so spread. Gonna meet the Twinkie in the sky. Never been a sinner. I've got a sweet tooth. I got an orange sponge cake, a creamy truth. So when I die, don't ask me why. I'm going G up to the Twinkie in the sky. Going on up to the Twinkie in the sky. That's where I'm gonna go when I die. When I die and they lay me to rest, I'm gonna snack on the Twinkie I love best.
When I die and they lay me to rest, I'm gonna go to the place that's the sweetest best.
Yeah. In a world of pain, a whisper starts to bloom of a secret chamber chasing away all gloom. They call them med beds, a futuristic dream. Med beds. Med beds. A promise so grand, but no real photos, just one giant hologram. They say they're coming, $1 billion plan. Don't show up in my scans, med beds. A promise so grand, but no real photos, just one giant hologram. They say they're coming, $1 billion plan. Don't show up in my scans. They say Tesla built them in a lab far away, or aliens brought them for a brighter new day. Hidden in tunnels by the deep state's own hand, hoarded by the wealthy across the whole land. QAnon voices on Telegram, they shout, Trump will release them, no reason to doubt. A benevolent military will roll out the plan, free for all citizens, every woman and man. Oh, med beds.
Med beds, a promise so grand, but no real photos, just sand in your hand. The jumble of buzzwords, a child Star Trek fleet, quantum frequencies for all to be free. But if it sounds too good, it's a dangerous art, a mirage for the desperate, breaking every heart.
They talk of bad frequencies and good to restore, a science that simply makes no sense anymore. The FDA warns us of devices unproven, hucksters and scams, their true motives are woven, charging small fees for a bed that's not there, leaving folks empty, lost in despair. When real help is needed, they turn you away for a fictional cure that will never see day. Oh, med beds.
Med beds, a promise so grand, but no real photos, just sand in your hand. The jumble of buzzwords, a child Star Trek fleet, quantum frequencies for all to be free. But if it sounds too good, it's a dangerous art, a mirage for the desperate, breaking every heart.
So look for the evidence, the truth in the light. Don't fall for the fantasy in the dark of the night. For true healing comes from science and care, not from a med bed floating in thin air. Med beds! 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 Med beds!
All right. Good afternoon and welcome to Not My Rabbit Hole. Thank you for being here today. If you are here, listening to the live or not, it doesn't really matter when you listen to this. And by the way, whenever you do join this live stream, please do give it a like and a thumbs up. And also take note of the QR code in the far left-hand side. Okay. That QR code, which by the way is a new feature on StreamYard, so I got to try it out today, that QR code actually is going to go to the Rumble live stream that will be happening after this live stream. And what will that Rumble live stream be about, Terry? Well, what it will be is the re-airing of my interview on Lift the Veil with Nathan Stoltman. And so yeah, I have decided to stream it this afternoon so that we can, pretty much put to rest the lies that Nathan Stoltman and David Schurter have trumped up about me being on his show. And I'm going to explain a little bit more of what's been happening in detail here in just a moment. But, I love this. I'm going to play it again.
I know exactly what I have to do. I'm going to sell out.
All right, that's right. Hi, Aiken. Hi. Yeah, that is apparently Nathan Stoltman playing a role, and ironically, he has the line, "I'm going to sell out," which I find that to be not really a coincidence. They say in life, synchronicity happens everywhere, so it's not really a coincidence. And it's nice seeing you here, Aiken. Yeah, this is pretty much come to a head in many ways. And honestly, I am streaming today for multiple reasons. The title of this video, it's not going to be all just about Nathan Stoltman and David Schurter. We're going to throw some Sarah Rachel Adams in there as an update, because the whole thing is about influencers on the internet and their flying monkeys, because none of these people really work alone. And one of the things that I believe has really gotten Nathan Stoltman all hiding or whatever, and David pretending that he's missing, and we're gonna show the anomaly, you know what I'm talking about, the anomalies, whatever, of how this is played out, and how inconsistent it is, and what a lie it is about Nathan Stoltman telling David Schurter that I was never on his show. That's like lie number one. All right. And I also want to say that I apologize for not having my camera on. I'm pretty busy right now. Not just pretty busy. I'm talking busy, because unlike you guys, I actually work as a journalist, and I have lots of articles, a lot of deadlines. And as a matter of fact, in a bit here, I would like to point out, and I will show an article that I wrote recently in the middle of all this craziness, about how AI data centers are possibly harming the environment. And I mean, for me, that's my biggest like accomplishment for this week, other than the fact that my creative writing essay that was workshopped on Wednesday, which I also finished in the middle of all of this, I ended up getting 12 out of 12 points on my grade, meaning that I got the top grade that I could do on my first big assignment in the MFA program. So I'm a little tired. All right. And, this is the weekend. I'm trying to catch up on rest, because I was working until 4 a.m. in the morning on Thursday night, finishing an article that's going to be coming out in the paw print soon. That's a really important article, but I'm going to keep that under wraps for the moment. So, I'm a little tired, and I we've had a tragedy in my family. We've had a death in the family. And so, that's kind of thrown me off a bit, in terms of even doing the show, to be honest with you. But these people, like, for example, David Schurter, who's gone off about me, calling me a child trafficker. Somehow I'm attacking Nathan Stoltman when I'm basically trying to really kind of get help of what has happened to me. And a lot of you guys don't really know this, or maybe you do know this. Maybe you do know the level of harassment and cyber stalking that I have experienced since being on Nathan Stoltman's show, which he denies that I'm on. And I would say to some very dangerous levels. And I've also done some research on the internet about psyops, or not necessarily psyops, but more like psychological warfare on the internet, just in general, in terms of the military. And then I broke it down and I went into targeted harassment on individuals for political speech. And so what we're really dealing with here, I mean, being that, and apparently, and I know that I heard through the grapevine that Nathan Stoltman really doesn't mind being referred as being alt-right. When Nathan Stoltman, his show on Lift the Veil, he represented the alt-right narrative. And also, I'm going to point out again for everybody, and there's no way you can deny this because I know we've all witnessed it. And we were, and most of us were around that time. I was in the media, but I wasn't attached to any of these people at all. I didn't know Gabe Hoffman. I didn't know Thomas Schoenberger. I didn't know, Nathan Stoltman. I did know Nathan Stoltman because I went on a show eventually in 2000, and I believe it was late 2000. It was 2018, like around November of 2018. I know this because a lot of other things were happening that a lot of you guys don't know. For example, after I was on Lift the Veil, there was a woman who, I'm going to go say what her first name is. Her name was Jill, okay? And her husband's name was Brett. All right, I'll stop it at there. Contacted me via Facebook after they saw me on Lift the Veil. And, I had Thanksgiving with them. Jill hooked me up with a interview with the comedian Lee Camp. Let me just say she didn't hook me up with the interview with Lee Camp. She brought me to a show that where he was performing at. This is like, we're going back to 2018 here. Okay. And, she wanted to get me, go up to him and hook up this interview because she was involved in this sort of like political group that was on Facebook. And it just so happened that a really good friend of mine was his opening act. And it was through that friend that I talked to for a while and was introduced to Lee Camp and got the interview on my own, regardless of Jill. So Jill contacted me. By the way, let me just explain something about Jill here for a second. Jill had given like $500 to Vegan Mikey because this was like around the Vegan Mikey time. Okay. And she had bought some t-shirts from Lift the Veil as well. So she has thrown some money out in these guys' directions. Anyways, Jill knew a director, and I'm going to say his name because he's known, Lee Scott. And Lee Scott hooked me up with Blazing TV, the Michael Levin network. And I was brought in as a guest on a show called Happy Hour. And ironically, well, I don't want to talk more, mention what I talked about because probably wouldn't fly here on YouTube. It was in St. Augustine, Florida. And in fact, I was wearing an outfit that Jill loaned me to wear on the show. And after I came back, by the way, Jill said, because there was talk of this right-wing Saturday Night Live type show that was going to be filmed out in Lafayette, Louisiana, because that's where their studio was. And immediately, and like within a couple of weeks' time after I was on Blazing TV, I went to work on a project. I got there earlier because I was promised that I was going to work on the set and whatever, like a handy person, and that I also had an acting part in the role. I was flown out, but I didn't have a return ticket. And I'm not going to go into the details today of what exactly happened, but it was a very frightening experience for me. Okay. And a lot of really strange things happened. And the person, but the point is that the person approached me through Lift the Veil. Okay. And right after I got home from this trip and, was able to finally break away from this insanity, because by the way, the woman who brought me had an affair with the director while I was there. Then when I came home, like the whole time she's, going on and talking about how, he knew all about it and this and that, blah, blah, blah. We come home and we pull up and there's this big sign that says, "Welcome home, Mommy, welcome home, Terry." And they're, and the two grandmas are out there and the babies are, there and there. And we come in and there's obvious tension between, Brett and her, Jill. And then Brett was like, "How bad is it?" And he was talking to me, how bad is the drug stuff? I thought he meant, how bad is it that she's screwing the other, the director? And I was like, well, it's not that bad. I think she still really loves you and blah, 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 blah. And he goes, "What the hell are you talking about?" And then he's like, he was warming up like Indian, food, leftover Indian food for everybody to eat. He goes, "What are you talking about?" And he goes, starts going crazy. I'm like, oh my God, I let the cat out of the bag. I let the wrong cat out of the bag. The whole thing was just like horrific. Like it was like, it played out like a scene in a movie. And, then we go out towards by where the pool is. And he goes, "I know people in the mafia. I can have him offed." And I'm like, you really don't want to do that, And I was trying to play some of it off. Please tell us about Florida. Okay, actually, this was not in Florida. This was Lafayette, Louisiana. So, but yeah, Florida, yeah, St. Augustine. Okay, so tell you about Florida. Okay, let me tell you about Florida. Florida, St. Augustine, right? They put me up in this really amazing hotel. I mean, I still have pictures of it. I should find it. And it was at a hotel that was near a golf course that was owned by Bill Murray, and Bill Murray's brother was the bartender and was serving food there. So, and the people that were behind the production for Mark Levin and the studio was owned by ex-Navy SEALs. So and they gave me a chip that had, and I took a picture of it. I don't know where I put it right now, but it was like, it was for people who have been there and done that, was basically what the chip said. And so they handed me the chip, and like for a while you could see these clips on Blaze TV. Okay. So, all right. So I know I've gone on and I'm talking about something else that happened that was really scary. But after that happened, okay, I'm going to show, and I put it on my timeline on my YouTube channel. Okay, wait, I gotta stop the share here. Okay, but I want to show also, because see, the reason why I find it interesting, it's not just because David Schurter, goes, oh, was Terry on your show, Nathan, right? Like, oh, no, she wasn't on my show. And then he supported David Schurter's abuse. And then David Schurter went online like earlier this summer and said something about it. At which point I clipped a few video shorts giving, basically, what do you call it? Video clips receipts proving that I had been a guest on Nathan Stoltman's show. But today we're going to air the whole thing in its entirety. I won't be talking over it, nothing. It's going to go straight out as it was originally recorded. And so anyway, but here you can see, let me just make sure that you all see this well. Okay. Just, where am I? Okay, yeah. Oh, yeah, you can see. Okay, so this is the first X post. It was Twitter then, that Patrick Moran, who is from, Nasty Troll Media, this is the first time he contacted me on X. I keep wanting to call it X because now it's X now, but you get the point, right? He contacted me on Twitter back in 2018. In December of 2018 was when this came to me. And at the same time, right after I broke away from this craziness that happened with Jill, people that were also had watched Lift the Veil, and that's where they found me, was from Nathan Stoltman's show. Then I get this other mess, I get Art of Moran, or I get like one of his profiles, Patrick's profiles on Instagram, his art profiles, starts to follow me immediately on Instagram. And then this other person started following me that had a skeleton, which kind of plays out in what happened to me, but I'm not going to really go into it right now, of a woman that looked like the sister of Jill's mom. Okay. And I thought that was kind of where I wasn't really sure. I thought, is this her or not? But it was just really creepy. So I had these, and I ended up blocking Patrick like after studying his profile for a while. And I've always said this. I've always been, I think sometimes as people, we get intuitions about stuff. And there was something in his art that made me feel uncomfortable. And so I thought, I'm in context of what was happening to me, and everything, I just felt something and I blocked him. And at which point, because by the way, I just want to let everybody know, and they should know this, maybe they think I'm lying or whatever, but I have every single conversation spoken out. I have every single post that Patrick has given to me via Twitter and X. I have every single one recorded verbally. I read every single one out loud in more than one recording as documentation of what really took place. Okay. Now, I know, like, as I'm speaking, he's probably watching. How many people are actually watching this stream? 4 people. I guarantee you he's one of those 4 people, or he will soon be one of those 4 people, or more coming in. He watches everything I do. And I'm talking about Patrick, the person who found me from Lithuania. He will probably most likely on Nasty Troll Media make some very grotesque AI images where he refers to me as an animal or a creature or an it or a thing, which is a form of dehumanization that I pointed out recently. And by the way, found out that it is one of the stipulations underneath genocide, that one of the signs of genocide is having state officials having state officials calling other people from another country animals. That's called dehumanization. And there's also a certain amount of gender hatred behind that. Especially when you make drawings of somebody in underwear. Doesn't matter if it's really me. It's supposed to be me. And you're intending it to be me. But there's photos and images and actual drawings that he made of me bent over in a G-string. And this person, as you can see, found me through Lift the Veil. By the way, again, that QR code in the far left-hand corner is to join me at 1:30, where the entire stream of that radio show will be streamed today. So this is Patrick introducing himself. Hello, Terry. What would make more sense? You were given a performance about lizards and then LTV covered it as part of a multi-act drama. Then you bunked the last act recently in Florida, so he dropped you. So interesting that he mentions Florida, right? Right? Because I did go to Florida. Or you experienced a real incident with lizards and walked into a staged operation to discredit you, and LTV then dropped you to execute the rest of the discrediting. Because what happened after I came back from Louisiana, after the nightmare in Louisiana, where on the way to the airport, Jill was telling her mom as she drives us there that she bought LTV t-shirts. Right after that, Nathan Stillman tells everything that whatever I said and whatever that happened to me at that party was a lie. And took that stream down off the internet. And I had made many responses about that. I've done a lot of things. So here we are, full circle. And now I wasn't even a guest on his show when he talks to David Schurter to support David Schurter's abuse of me and other people. But what I find interesting is those other people that David Schurter has now thrown into the narrative. Because, like, when it first started, it was Isaac, recently, right? It first started with Isaac Cappy, right? And then and the targets were Geo Farnsworth, who also he called Captain Underpants, and Corey Daniel and his wife. All right, those were the targets for a really, and then there was Daniel Dowd. So it was those people for a long time. Then I get heard by Arturo Tafoya in a conversation on X in a DM that the Sophia Music Gang, because, you know, he told me he was pretending to be with them. He was undercover to report on Schoenberger. But this was before, he faked his death of jumping off of a building and had his fake cousin get donations for him while he was supposedly in a coma. Yeah, that, Arturo Tafoya tells me that David Schurter is going to start going after me. So that's when I contacted David Schroeder, and that's when I contacted him. I figured we had Max Spears and Vanessa Bates in common, or maybe, that he would know that I wasn't part of this other stuff that's going on over here. Okay? That was my initial contact to David. And then at which point, and then David shares with me about how Thomas is giving him donations. So I know that Thomas has given David a transfer of money, because there's always a little money coming from somewhere. Like t-shirts, like Jill bought t-shirts, right? Like Vegan Mikey got $500. Like there's always a stream of a profit somewhere, right, guys? What was it, that guy? Oh, I know, An Open Secret wrote about it. Remember Stoltman? You guys were gonna get $75,000 and have it funneled down through a third party from Vegan Mikey through Isaac kind of thing, and you got busted with PayPal. Remember that? Yeah, I think we all remember that, right? And then what's kind of interesting to me is Gio, when I interviewed him, he's saying how great Isaac was, that Isaac was able to give him money to pay for his damages on his apartment being burned down. That's interesting. I think that's interesting. Where'd that money come from? Where'd that money come from? Huh? I'm just asking. I think that's a good question to ask at this point. So here he writes, hello, Terry. What would make more sense? You were given a performance about lizards and then LTV covered it as part of a multi-act drama. Then you bunked the last act recently in Florida, so he dropped you? Or you experienced a real incident with lizards and walked into a stage operation to discredit you, and LTV then dropped you to execute the rest of the discrediting. I find it ironic that the Stanley Kubrick Apollo 11 wardrobe change with the child fits into a narrative over the whole film that maybe Jack was abusing the kid rather than a whole overlay of a fake moon landing. Now, excuse me, but, trying to make sense out of that right there. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, that's a little weird. Had you noticed in unison how all of these channels flipped from Monograph to LTV, etc., exactly at the same time to hoaxing Apollo 11 as the Vegan Mikey story unraveled? There were 2 more acts that failed after that story as well. I cannot be certain of your experiences. And I don't think I have the rest of it on there, but you get the point. He contacted me from Lift the Veil. And not only does Nathan know this, he knows this because I've tagged him. He's even shared this information on his own timeline last spring, as well as some of my videos about this particular topic. And even I made a graphic of him, in a newspaper kind of thing. And he was like, "Oh, thank you." Like it was a compliment for him. I also want to point out, I would like to point out that what was I going to say? I mean, there's just so much going on here with it that, okay, yeah. So Nathan denies I'm on a show to David. David does a show about it and continues to call me a child trafficker and then abuse me with a bunch of other people that now the group has grown to everybody that has been the regular target in LARP world. Sewertown, it's now Thomas Schoenberger himself, it's Chris McGimsey Jones, it's DeFango, it's me, it's, we're all working together, but he and Nathan are tight, right? Well, how does that work out, Nathan? Like, does it matter if it works out? Like, I mean, you guys just throw shit out there like that are incongruent to timelines or possibilities or allegiances or anything. You know, because I remember even last spring of Nathan doing a stream, and he had Corey Daniel on it. There was, Jesse Davis. I can't remember if Daniel was on it, but it had quite a few people on that stream. I think it might have been John, Aussie John, and they were all calling out David. Come on, bro. Maybe even Gio might have been on that stream. And they were all going, come out and talk to us. Be real. You're accusing us of these things and you know it's not true and blah, 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 blah. And Nathan let it go on his channel. He even, which I thought was really odd because this is how much he doesn't care about LARP World, apparently. He just leaves his show. He goes, you guys carry on now. And he walks off and like lets these other guys control his show for another 2 hours after that, going after David Schurter. And then he circles around and like and denies that I was a guest on a show. And then supports David Schurter's continual abuse of me. Well, what about the other people, guys? What about you, Jesse? What about Daniel Dowd? What about Gio? He's not just like going after me, but if Nathan's like, don't you think that if Nathan Stillman's okay with David Schurter does about me, he's basically saying the same thing about you? Isn't that a conflict of interest? Anybody here? I'm just curious. Or do you want to still sit back and act like, he's some great, whatever, like he did something so special? Like you want to like keep pushing that video out there about Operation Unalivened that basically like highlights, you even added more stuff. It wasn't even in the original cut. And you added more stuff to build up Nathan when he's a little snake like this. I'm sorry, but I find that really to be inconsistent with many of you. Perhaps you don't see the severity of what's happening here. That I have endured cyber stalking and doxing and the contacting of my employment. And a complete denial. I even had people contact me and give me jobs in other states from it that were shady. And you want to sit back and deny I was even a guest on your show? Why the hell is I don't know. Why is Colleen Kokar Colleen Kokar, showing clips Why is Colleen Kokar showing clips? She's showing, I forgot, this was clips of my interview on Lift the Veil. And then she hides them when I point it out. Here is a post that this guy here yesterday post a message on David's stream after the one that David says that he can't talk to Nathan on, that people are holding him captive and have his cell phone. And here it is. 09/2025, why are you tagging me? Leave me alone. And this is my response. Patrick J. Moran contacted me on Twitter after seeing me as a guest on your show, and he's been cyber stalking and harassing me ever since. Then you publicly said I was never a guest on your show to David Schurter and backed his defamation, calling me a pedo and a child trafficker. Let's just start there, Nathan Stoltman. Let's show it. This was from this morning, when you guys know that David and Nathan actually talked to each other. Oh, and here's something. He denies there were 6 million in this video clip uploaded by an open secret. If you want to check that out, tap on to that, because yeah, he's a denier. Stoltman is a denier. How ironic. Here, let me just show you this.
This video is for Nathan Stoltman of Lift the Veil. People are saying, Nathan, that they have you and they have your phone. And so you really need to do a proof of life video so that people know you're okay. Because we're trying to expose some really scary shit, and people need to know that you're okay. So no messages on TikTok or messages on the proof of life video, please, for the people who care about you. For our sake, please do a proof of life video so we know you're okay.
Okay, so now this was done today, but that is actually from not yesterday's live stream, but the live stream before. So I'm going to take you to David Schurter's channel here, and you just play. You know, all I have to really do is like really play the first few things that he says, because God forbid we should like put ourselves to listen to anything more than that. But so here I'm gonna go ahead and share this. And by the way, for those of you who just joined, over in the far left corner here on the screen is a QR code that will take you to the stream after this. I'm restreaming my interview with Lift the Veil. That's my big receipt today. That's my big point out of what liars both of these men are. Okay.
Okay. I usually don't do lives this late, but I said I was going to do one yesterday and I didn't get a chance. And today has kind of gotten away from me. And I've been wanting to send a message out there to Nathan Stoltman. Maybe you already have done this in the last couple days, but could you just do a proof of life video for everyone? People are worried about you, dude. You know, and now they've gotten me concerned. I know you're going through a rash of shit, and but if you could just take like just a couple of minutes, not even, just, you know, send out, hey, I'm okay. No need to worry. It's just a request. I keep getting people leave comments and they send me emails, but people don't understand that Nathan and I haven't talked. When we were talking, he was interviewing me. It was more of a professional thing. You know, it wasn't like we were breaking bread and I knew much about his life. You know, same thing with Isaac. You know, we didn't have time for pleasantries because I was focused on this child trafficking bullshit. Isaac Cappy was focused on this child trafficking bullshit. Nathan is trying to build a career, and he has done a fairly good job. It's just that they've inundated him I mean, when he did that live that I went on like a year ago, they were all in there. The same motherfuckers that were all surrounding Isaac Cappy right before he died. And they're bullshit. The reason why I haven't done videos that I've been kind of inconsistent this last week is because for the last 2 weeks, all of their shit, just to admit it, has, you know, it's hard to just compartmentalize and let it go. And so, and when I get upset with the shit, I end up getting tired. And so I slept. So in a way, I was letting them win. My house was a pit. My kitchen was a mess. So I've spent the last few days just reclaiming.
Okay, so maybe it's not in this
because they just never
where he mentions me, but that's where he first like mentions, you know, that's happening. Maybe it's this one. Maybe it's this one. Hold on.
I reported that.
Okay.
Okay, I was gonna wait till Sunday. But I figured stuff has happened, and so I just want to do this live. First of all, I guess that Nathan is okay. Nathan Stoltman of Lift the Veil. From what I understand, from what I've been told, from what he's been saying, Tara Joyce.
Okay, so you heard that, right? He said, I guess he's okay. I just heard from Lift the Veil. Okay, so they have communicated. This is yesterday. They have communicated. Okay.
Okay, I was gonna wait till Sunday. But I figured stuff has happened, and so I just want to do this live. First of all, I guess that Nathan is okay. Nathan Stoltman of Lift the Veil. From what I understand, from what I've been told, from what he's been saying, Tara Joyce is harassing the shit out of him, just like she did me. And still, probably.
So how am I harassing David Schurter? How am I harassing David Schurter? You know what I'm doing is I'm pointing out that David Schurter has multiple restraining orders, that he's harassing me, that he's harassing other people, that he is coercing with Stoltman, Nathan Stoltman, who, by the way, also last summer told people to go after me on behalf of him and the All Seeing You. So Nathan has verbally told people to attack me. David Schurter is attacking me. He's siding with David Schurter and lying and saying that I was never on his show, even though I have somebody stalking me for 7 years. And doxing my apartment on their Nasty Troll Media community page with Sophia Music, with Thomas Schoenberger at the same time. No, I'm just going to say it. Those things have been happening to me. David wants to scream about how, you know, people are, you know, passing out flyers about him and this and that. Dude, you are not the only one here. And I am not lying about what you're doing. I am showing receipts of what David Schurter is doing and what is taking place with Lift the Veil. You all know what I'm talking about. So don't act like you're silent.
Is. I guess she's still obsessed with me, but I don't see her stuff, so I don't care.
You don't see my stuff. You don't care. But you got to get on and accuse me of harassing Nathan when it's the other way around. But you don't care. Right. Okay. Let's hear it again.
Okay, I was gonna wait till Sunday. Babe, I figured stuff is happening.
I figure I'd be a dick now instead.
And so I just wanted to
Because I'm being exposed and I have to say something stupid to cover up what I've done.
just live. First of all, I guess that Nathan is okay. Nathan Stoltman of Lift the Veil. From what I understand, from what I've been told, from what he's been saying, Tara Joyce is harassing the shit out of him, just like she did me. And still probably is. I guess she's still obsessed with me, but I don't see her stuff, so I don't care. But
I am here. I am on a mission to call out what a liar you are. And yes, I'm here to protect my own interests. Just like you are. Because I'm innocent.
I just want to point out that they're doing to Nathan the same thing they're doing to me, and vice versa. And what do Nathan and I have in common?
Who's they? Who's they, David? Define they. They. Are you talking about Thomas Schoenberger? Or are you talking about who? Like, who are you talking about here? Because they're the most of the people that you've persecuted on your site are friends with Nathan Stillman. They're buddies. They love Nathan. They uphold Nathan with high regard. Let me go down the list. Corey Daniel, Gio Farnsworth. I'm not so sure about Daniel Dowd. Jesse and Pavana don't seem to have a problem with Nathan. And yet, you're attacking those. DeFango seems to be, I don't know. I think I'm pretty good terms with Nathan. I don't know, really, but there's not a big conflict there. They've done shows together. And yet you, David Schurter, are saying they are against them. That would be untrue. I have a problem with Nathan. I got a big problem with Nathan. In fact, we're going to take a little break here in a second.
We both worked with and were advocates for Isaac Cappy. That's what
you guys both worked with and were advocates for Isaac Cappy, and I was not. I never knew Isaac Cappy, and yet I'm being blamed for his death, not you guys. Right? Oh, by the way, before I have more fun with some videos here, let me just throw out something about some information I got from Nathan Stoltman. And, really at this point, I'm inspired by the poet Audre Lorde, who wrote, "Your silence does not protect you." And, since everything's going so crazy and we had almost the rapture recently, I thought I'd just go ahead and throw this out here because, who knows, we might not all be here tomorrow. Just saying. You never know, right? So let's just lay it out on the table. Beth Bogarts. Yeah, that's right. Beth Bogarts, when she used to call me for 2 years, almost once a week, she gave me some information that I think it's really important to share at this point. She told me this is the first time I ever heard about suicide unaliven or suicide unaliven suicide trolling. It's the first time I ever heard about it. I mean, maybe I heard about it a little bit before that. I take that back. But she said that Nathan Stoltman had recruited Carrie Wolf into that group that does that to people. That Nathan Stoltman was part of that. So that video, Operation Unaliven, you shouldn't be upholding Nathan, maybe. Because he might be just another player, just another actor. He's just another actor on the boat. Yeah, let's say, maybe, right? I mean, come on, check this out.
This George Young?
That's him.
Thanks. See you.
Yeah. Just another actor on the boat. right? One more time. Let's look at another one. Let's pull another one out of Nathan's great acting work. Notice how he kind of like plays the creepy guy parts. Is that typecasting? Who knows? No, I'm not going to be nice today. Sorry. I don't feel like I have to. I think it's really sad. By the way, again, the QR code is going to my Rumble where I'm going to be playing my interview with Nathan Stoltman. I found it in the Internet Archives. Lie number 1 is being proved right now. By the way, I'm not really happy. I'm kind of embarrassed of that interview, actually, at this point. I'm just going to be honest. And the reason why I held back in actually playing it is that because I feel like I'm not the same person, really, that I was back then. Although I will say that something really creepy happened at that party, and it scared me. But what's more interesting about that interview is what I talk about when I live stream the Hollywood Pedo March and the 17th letter of the alphabet people and stuff like that. I think, and the fact that there were people at that party connected to that. Okay. And connected to certain movements like Occupy and things like this. So, that is airing. In terms of the topic of reptilians, okay, that's in the interesting box for me. Matter of fact, especially it's in the interesting box when you actually can see David Schroeder shape-shifting. Let's take a look at David Schroeder shape-shifting. This is kind of an interesting phenomena. I don't know necessarily what that is, but I don't know. I'm not going to die on that mountain. I don't think we know everything about who we are, so leave that open for discussion. I will say that there was a huge statue of a reptile at that party in front of the entrance of the club, the sports bar that we went into, and it hadn't been there previously when I went to it before. I don't know why it was there. There was discussions of reptiles or reptilian people at the party, just in passing in conversation. When I felt uncomfortable, a lady who acted inappropriately, very strange, at the party, didn't want me to leave in many ways. You'll hear about that. She said, I felt that it was really negative in there. And she goes, where do you think you're at? You're at what do you think this is? This is a lizard party. And she pointed to the statue. Okay. But I don't like the main thing that I want to use in the disclaimer of this, in that story, because the story, the Hollywood Lizard Party story, okay, is something that I said on American Freedom Radio, and it was quite popular, and I had it up on my Freedom of Joyce channel for a while, and Randy Moggins from Off Planet TV interviewed me on the about it. I mean, it was at one time that story or that experience that I shared was quite, it got, a lot of people knew about it. It got a lot of hits. It was out there. Some people oftentimes requested to hear my original testimony of it. I got to find out where that is right now. But there's an original testimony of me talking about it after it just happened. As it went on, there were all these other people that wanted to impose their narrative on what happened to me, or try to make me think that what happened to me was a certain thing. So, and you'll even see, like, when I talk about it on Nathan's show, that I kind of sort of do that. Like I say, so and so said to me that it's this, or it happened on an occult holiday. So and so told me this, right? So I feel like I had hands in there to kind of prop it, maybe in a way that it was, but it wasn't exactly like that. And so I'm going to just say that as well. And I did not edit. I wanted to edit some people's names out of it. But then I thought about it and I thought, I think the names that I said should be said. The only name that I might have said would have been the owner of the property, who is the manager, the talent manager for comedians. And you will hear his name, but I just want to say that he was not there at that party. I never saw him on the property. He was just letting his friend, who was January, whose birthday, he was letting her use that sports bar for her birthday party. So other than that, he has no involvement in what happened there. So I just want to specify that. I also want to say that I believed in a certain way, or I had certain belief system in things that, and not that I don't believe in anymore. I do think that there was something occult happening at that party. And I think that there was something strange happening with these guys. And these people are also involved in movements like the marijuana legalization, Occupy. And they were also involved with things that they had an association to Roger Stone. That's for sure. That's absolutely for sure. As a matter of fact, the one guy that I do mention named Patrick Moore, he actually went on Alex Jones with Roger Stone and talking about the Cannabis Coalition. Absolutely. And the woman Jeanette that talks about the abortion in the thing that you're going to hear is his girlfriend. So let me just point that out. Now is that the reason why Nathan took the video down? See, I'm thinking it's more like that at this point. So I'm going to go ahead and share this for fun. Why not? If we're going to talk about reptilians. This is David praying. So yeah, the guy who says the dark is coming for you, his eye shape shifts into a slit when he prays. Isn't that interesting? I find that to be like really trippy. Okay, so before we go, because again, the live stream of my interview with Nathan Stoltman is about to happen on Rumble, and I want to get there from the beginning. But I did do some reading into things, and I'm going to share like some of the sources, but I want to summarize it for you really quickly about how targeted harassment works on the internet, and then maybe you can compare some of the this is something that came out on Meta, December 2020 coordinated inauthentic behavior report. And the part that you should probably look at here is the purpose of this report. Over the past 3 years, we've shared our findings about coordinated inauthentic behavior. We detect and remove from our platforms as part of our regular CIB reports. We are sharing information about all networks we take down over the course of a month to make it easier for people to see progress we're making in one place. What is a CIB? We view CIB as coordinated efforts to manipulate public debate for a strategic goal where fake accounts are central to the operation. There are 2 tiers of these activities that we work to stop. 1, coordinated inauthentic behavior in the context of domestic non-government campaigns, and 2, coordinated inauthentic behavior on behalf of foreign or government actors. And I'm just going to kind of leave that here, but I'm going to also read let me see, some stuff that came up on, let me see, let me find my place here. I did do a search on ChatGPT on some stuff, and I did check out the links. So I'm just going to give like a quick overview on what they contextualize. I'm going to show you a couple of links to verify it. Okay. But they said that targeted online harassment, coordinated or crowd-led attacks intended to silence or punish speech, mass threats, brigading, doxing, swatting, smear, disinfo piles, and campaign-style dog whistles that unleash followers. It's used by state and non-state players, and it's cheap, deniable, fast, and exploits platform mechanics, recommendations, trends, and group forwarding. Core tactics you'll see: brigading and dogpiling, coordinated floods of replies, DMs, mentions to intimidate or drown out speech. Platforms and researchers frame this within coordinated inauthentic behavior, CIB, when fake or centrally run accounts are involved. Meta Public's CIB takedowns, foreign and domestic, document these patterns, including paid political firms and networks tied to governments. And let's just mention Shadowbox out there in this, right? The reputation management company that, well, I guess like DeFango and Thomas were involved with, and like further on behind that, Michael Levin, and behind that, but she says she left, was Beth Bogarts. Doxing, publishing private or identifying data, home, kids, schools, phone, employer, to enable offline intimidation, even when platforms ban it. Twitter's private information policy information is uneven and cat and mouse, and here's a link on that. Okay, and I want to point this out because that's exactly what's happened to me. By Patrick, by Thomas, by the group that was on the we run the internet, Titus Frost and Chris McGimsey Jones. Yes, y'all doxed me. Denise doxed me. Okay, you did it. I didn't dox you. I'm not talking about your employment. I'm not telling people where you live at. I'm not telling you where you go to school at, but you all have. Big time. Big time. Swatting. Okay, we all know what that is. Threat cascades against officials, judges, election workers. After polarizing rulings or elections, targets face threats, doxing, and swatting. Gendered This is what I want to focus on, because that's also happening by Patrick and by a lot of you. A lot of you saying gross things about me doing things sexually, reference. Even Angel Power Disney's done it. Right? Even other women have done it to other women in this group, in the people that have attacked me personally. My group is different than David's or anybody else's. Threat cascades against gendered harassment and gendered disinformation. Oh yeah, I love the one where what's his name? Chris McGimsey Jones posted on X that I was transgender. Or the videos of me morphing into a drag queen. Those are also part of this. It's not just being painted naked, practically nude with a G-string on and then having it posted by the artist Patrick Moran on his Nancy Troll Media page. That is also part of this. Gendered harassment and gendered disinformation, sexualized rumors, deep fake nudes, and defamatory narratives used disproportionately against women in politics and journalism, documented by UNESCO and civil society monitors. And I'm going to go to that particular, make sure you can see it. Okay. Yeah, I need to let go and change what you're looking at here. Where's it at? Wait. Hold on, let me find it. Okay, there it is. DI Mecco. All right. Let me get it. Yeah, here it is. Expert group meeting, 66th session of Commission on the State of Women. There is little doubt that technology innovations, and particularly the internet, have revolutionized the way people live, work, commute, news, and engage politically all over the world. As every day, more people use the internet and social media in particular. On the other hand, and then this study actually goes into how women and journalists are treated. And let me add one more thing here to this that I've also pulled up. An article, Shouting Into the Void, why reporting abuse to social media platforms is so hard and how to fix it. Key findings: writers and journalists regularly face harassment and threats to their free expression online, but when they try to report the abuse to digital platforms, they describe it as shouting out into the void. The mechanisms for reporting abuse online are deeply flawed and further traumatize and disempower those facing abuse, failing at every level to safeguard them and hold abusers to account. This report outlines how platforms can build reporting mechanisms that are more user-friendly, accessible, transparent, efficient, effective, with clearer and more regular communication. So, writers and journalism and gender biases is exactly what's been happening to me by these guys. And it's psychological. It's done up together. It's obvious that, Nathan Stoltman and David Schurter are coordinating stories together that aren't true. I was a guest on Lift the Veil. I am not a child trafficker, and Nathan Stoltman has told people to go after me. I have had 2 scary incidents from people that found me after being a guest on his show. One is ongoing right now as we speak, and I guarantee you he's probably going to be trigger posting after this video. And it goes nonstop. So you realize the value of me speaking out and saying, yeah, I was on a show. There is the QR code to watch it in the next 15 minutes at 1:30, proving that I was a guest on that show. And I also showed earlier, if you came in late, you want to scroll through, the actual contact that Nasty Troll Media, Patrick, made for me because he saw me on Lift the Veil. And yet Nathan wants to deny that it ever happened, and he's allowing and he's supporting cyber stalking and abuse of me on the internet by backing David Schurter. And then he not only said that, did that, but he told people to attack me on the internet this past summer, on behalf of himself and All Seeing You, who, by the way, has a mysterious death in her little closet of Jaunty Thackeray after he unalived himself because he had his YouTube channel taken away by her. And you guys all want to call yourselves the victim? I don't think so. And another thing before we go, we're going to talk about Sarah here for a moment, because here's another big grifter and, a flying monkey in Sarah's background. Sarah organizes mayhem and craziness and abuse to people. Well, apparently, the property that was listed, this is from a tweet. Brian and Sarah they were going to buy a mansion in Arizona, Sedona, but it got turned down because they had some questionable crypto that they were trying to pay with, which is also a big thing that runs through this entire group. There's an association here to crypto, isn't there? Dean Fogier, whatever your name is, Frost. So, Sarah, she's grifting. Brian saying made threats to Taj, and same shit. Flying monkey, making accusations, making court claims, saying they're going to call law enforcement on people when they're actually the scammers. Clearly lizard eyes. That's right, Aiken. Clearly lizard eyes. All right, so I'm going to say goodbye at this point, and let's just show those, because Nathan's an actor, and a lot of people are actors in this. You know who else is an actor? I found an acting clip of Unirock. Everybody's an actor. Isaac was an actor. I don't know what the hell David is, but here's how much is Nathan still acting, pretending to be out of it? Great acting job, right? I don't know. How do we know? How do we know that it's real?
I know exactly what I have to do. I'm going to sell out. He ain't no Saint Germain, no crown, no name. He plays the game, sharp as a flame. Who's to blame for the stolen fame? A shadow dance in the devil's frame. Go in the rabbit hole, losing control, spinning wild on a stripper pole. Laughing loud, all for the lows, but baby, that's not my rabbit hole. City lights and sirens scream, truth and lies blend like a dream. Wicked smiles, a clever scheme, chasing gold in the neon gleam. Go in the rabbit hole, losing control, spinning wild on the stripper pole. Laughing loud, all for the lows, but baby, that's not my rabbit hole. can't find the ground. Echoes of chaos all around. You chose this dance, this mad parade, but not every choice gets accolades. Go in the rabbit hole, losing control, spinning wild on the stripper pole. Laughing loud, all for the lows, but baby, that's not my rabbit hole. Laughing loud, all for the lows, but baby, that's not my rabbit hole. City lights and sirens scream. Truth and lies blend like a dream. Wicked smiles, a clever scheme. Chasing gold in the neon gleam. Going down the rabbit hole, losing control. Spinning wild on the stripper pole. Laughing loud all for the lows, but baby, that's not my rabbit hole.